This is my advice for you for finding good value wines that aren't too expensive. I want a good value wine, man. I'm scared to make a decision. Don't be scared to make a decision. It's all right. I'm gonna help you find a good value wine. People are afraid of making the wrong mistake, especially when it comes to wine. People don't want to feel like they're getting ripped off or that they're a mark, or every time they go to the wine shop, they go, that guy. I'm gonna rip that guy off. First things first, you gotta know the classics. You gotta learn scales before you play jazz, right? And call me Miles Davis. Call me Scatman. Call me the jazz master, because I do this all the time. But to know what's sort of underrated, you have to know what's rated. You have to know what people are talking about or what people are into, hence knowing the classics. You'll want a baseline knowledge of major wine growing countries and major wine growing regions. You'll want to understand that France probably makes wine and it's probably pretty good, but everyone knows that, right? It's probably the first place people think of, especially Burgundy. What you're really paying for with these well-known regions is the real estate. It's a simple business decision. It's simply supply and demand, and also some labor factors, right? In the US, you're gonna pay a lot more for labor than you will maybe in Argentina, especially like in California, which really can affect the price of wine, especially in places like Napa and Sonoma, probably the two most recognized places in California. So knowing sort of what is popular will help you decide what is not as popular. Step 1, know the classics. There's 3 steps. Did I say that? Great. You know some of the classics, you have some idea about where wine is grown. Now look right next door. The second step is find the cheaper neighbor. For example, here's the globe. Can we get a picture of the globe? Does it work like that? There might be a picture here. Thanks, Mike. If you like Spanish wines, look at Spain and then think about what touches Spain, what's next to Spain that also makes wine. The obvious neighbor is France, but again, too obvious. But on that other side, you got Portugal, and you go, does Portugal make wine? A little Google, and you'll find that they do make wine. And in fact, they make some of my favorite wine. And maybe they're regions you've never heard of, grapes you've never heard of, but that's what makes wine fun. It's adventurous. You get to try all these regions for a fraction of a cost of actually having to travel there. That's what I love about wine. Exploring new regions and getting excited about places that I didn't even really consider made wine. So that's a great example on the macro scale. And even on the micro scale, let's look at France. Let's look at places that make a ton of wine that you've probably heard of. If you go to a little place called Bordeaux, and you zoom in, whoop, and then you go a little bit south, you hit a place called Sauternes. Sauternes makes really expensive dessert wine. You could buy really expensive dessert wine and it's gonna taste really good. And you're gonna go, God, I wish it was a fraction of the price. That's where you find your cheaper neighbor. Just across the river, a little bit north, you're gonna hit Saint-Croix-de-Mont, which is very French. Okay, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I can fake saying some of these French words, but it's really sounding and looking like Saint-Croix-de-Mont, right? Like La Croix, LaCroix. Saint-Croix-de-Mont if you're French, Saint-Croix-de-Mont if you're from Milwaukee. There are so many examples of this, and don't be afraid of just even looking at a map next to some of your favorite wine regions. Third step, if you don't want to do any of that, and I don't really blame you, and if you just want to get to the meat and potatoes of a good value wine, find someone you trust. Find anyone that you might trust that knows a lot about wine. You can find these sort of people at your local wine shop, even your grocery store, or you could even go online. Just Google wine people. There's a lot of people and a lot of experts these days who talk about wine. But you're just gonna wanna find someone that you trust for whatever reason. Maybe you like their haircut, maybe you like their t-shirt, maybe you like that they, are a woman who's charismatic and charming and Midwestern, whatever sort of fits the bill for what makes you trust someone in the wine profession. Having someone to sort of guide you, I feel like is an incredibly important aspect that is sometimes overlooked. And I know the wine world is big and scary, and you really don't want to look like an idiot in front of people, and I totally get it. But sometimes you're gonna buy a wine and it's gonna suck. But that's okay, really. I mean, you could look at reviews on wine and try to look at Vivino or whatever, but really those are just other people's opinions. You are the master of your own domain. You know what your palate is like, you know what you like and don't like, so trust your gut, follow your heart, believe in yourself. All those things really ring true, so trust yourself, but don't be afraid to buy a bottle and also maybe not like it. But knowing what you don't like is just as important as knowing what you do like. And as you build that vocabulary and that word bank for yourself, you're gonna have more confidence to go into a wine shop and go, I really like this region, and I really didn't love this region, or I didn't love this grape. What do you recommend? That's all super helpful information. Believe in yourself, follow your heart. It's like a Disney movie, really. But with wine, it's better than a Disney movie. Just drink the wine, just drink it. What's the worst thing that's gonna happen? You're not gonna like the wine, you're probably still gonna drink it. Just do it. It's good for you. So take these 3 points. They're super helpful and they're good guidelines, but just like all guidelines, they're probably also meant to be broken. Start with these and then decide if it's right for you. And at the end of the day, we're drinking wine. It's okay. It's a pretty low risk situation. You will probably still enjoy and drink a wine, even if you don't love it. The most important part really is just starting. And I believe in you. Just starting is the perfect way to start. Finding something that's good value is really going something that's off the beaten path, something that's really adventurous. And if that's something that you would like to be, going through these 3 steps will really help you build that confidence, build that vocabulary, help you decide what you do or don't like, and then you can start making sommelier choices yourself, which is really what I do at Slick. This is what it's all about. I would much rather teach you how to fish than sell you the fish.